What's up and welcome back to the Pause Rewind Play podcast. That was preemptive and like a little exaggerated.
Okay, I'm here now.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Pause Rewind Play podcast. There's many angled cameras here. But we got a special guest this week on the podcast. The one, the only, Michael!
Hey, buddy.
Oh, the yellow one.
Wait, the yellow one.
There it is.
Hey! It's fun. Yeah. Hi.
You guys may have heard
Hello?
Michael on the podcast
Yeah.
before. We've had him, but this will be the first time that you see him and all of his mustache and mohawked glory.
No, is it mohawk or is it
Mullet.
mulleted?
Mullet, sorry, I'm terrible
Mullet.
at hair names.
So I have a mullet as well right now. It's not quite as glorious as yours. I got a wolf cut. Sounds a lot cooler than it is.
What is a wolf cut?
It's essentially a modern mullet that's not too mullety, they say. I learned about it on some reel, and then I follow their like consulting hair page now.
Cool.
And I'm like, wow, I know so much about hair cutting. It's like when you watch a cooking show and suddenly become a pro. You're like, why are you cutting the basil that way, Johnny? And you should cut it this way. And you're like, I'm sitting at home eating freaking Cheetos Puffs on my couch telling you what to do. But Michael, how have you been?
Great. I've been great. I've been tired. Dadding it up. So tired.
Dad mode.
It's been like 2 years since you've been on here.
Yeah, that's about
So
as
you
much
had-
time
was that-
as I have.
Was that before
Once every 2
Oliver
years.
or after
No,
Oliver?
it was like right after Oliver. I was like super delirious. Now I'm just like half delirious.
Slowly crawling
yeah,
out
like
of
no,
the delirium.
no sleep and
It's just
all
a slight
baby is-
haze.
Yeah.
Well, we're recording this at like 8 p.m. where we're at right now. And straight up, I was like to Josh, because he drove me over here, I was like, can we go get a coffee right now? And he's like, we're cutting it very close to like the
I
podcast.
see you made the much better choice, though, and decided to drink candy instead of coffee. No, not you. Josh.
Hey, this thing has 5 calories, and it was recommended to me
5
by...
calories and 200 grams.
That part doesn't matter, okay? And it was recommended to me by Caine, another friend of the podcast.
Does it taste
And I'm
good?
just trying. It
does.
does.
What does it taste like?
It tastes like Sour Patch Kids, but not like as overtly sour in as much like I'll probably drink this whole thing. If it was super sour like regular Sour Patch Kids, I probably wouldn't. But I'm not a very soury person.
I love this brand. It's Ghost brand. It's literally drinking candy flavor. They make a Swedish fish flavor, and it is incredible. It tastes exactly like just downing melted Swedish fish. I love it so much. And the can's really cool, too. It's got like a fish scale texture to it on the Swedish fish one. I'm all about that, man. Those ones are good.
It's good. It's tasty so far. I enjoy it.
And there's no bitterness, no aftertaste. It's just all sweet, sweet goodness. I'm not a fan of coffee.
Clearly.
I want my caffeine to taste like candy. I've said it once. I'll say it again.
I just want
gosh.
I want my caffeine to be like my life, bitter.
Yeah. Black and bitter.
I'm just kidding.
Want to do a quick while we've been watching?
Yeah, let's do it. Josh, since you're the bringer up of this topic, go for
I
it.
brought it up because I started a new series, and I've been looking for new series to watch, and I've started a lot, and like some I like, some I don't, and just looking for good
Days
stuff.
of Our Lives.
Days of Our Lives, yeah. Just there's
Okay.
plenty of content I can watch for the rest of my life. You guys heard of the show Yellow Jackets?
Yes.
No.
Yellow Jackets is
Nothing.
I'm only like 3 episodes in, and I am so in. Have you watched the show, Casey, or just heard of it?
No.
I just got a login to
For Showtime?
but I needed to wrap up Barry before I started something new, so
I
it's on the
recommend.
docket.
I recommend. I'm only 3 episodes in, right? And it's the first season is out, and right now the second season is releasing weekly. I think they're on episode 3 or something has come out for the second season, and it's crazy. It's wild. It's just this show about this girls' soccer team, and so it's like a story you've heard of. There's like real stories of this that happened, but this is like a fictionalized extra version of it. There's like this girls' soccer team, they're going to nationals, and they crash in the middle of the Canadian wilderness, and what they end up doing to survive, and
You have already
all
sold
this
me.
stuff.
I'm
And
in,
it is
100% in
I didn't
on
even know
this.
that's what it was about.
and it is, and I
Wow.
won't even say anything beyond that because I could like talk about like how long they're there or other stuff or what they end up. I'm just not gonna say anything because like I feel like that's enough. And once I watched the first episode, I was like, oh yeah, like I'm in, and it has good people. It has Christina Ricci is in it. It has, I apologize, but I'm going to forget her name. The one who Alice didn't like from The Last of Us.
Oh, I don't know her name, but
That person.
So,
But Yellow Jackets.
but Yellow Jackets was like one that I've been seeing a lot of people like react to on YouTube and whatever. And I'm like, I just wasn't interested just because I didn't really know what it was about. And then when I'm going through shows and I'm just like, well, I'm about to finish up season 5 of Better Call Saul on my, rewatch, and season 6, which I have already seen, but I'm ready to rewatch it, isn't on for another couple weeks. And I'm like, I got to do something. Yellow Jackets came up and I'm just in. So I'm super excited. It's really, really
that
good.
makes me excited to watch it now. Like,
I don't want to like hype it up too much
no,
in case you don't
it's
like
fine.
it, but
Because
I think it's good.
only heard good things. Like, even my cousin that gave me his login, he's like, "You watching this yet?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Season 2 kicked off good. Here's my login. Get into it." So
it's good. I'm excited. That and then just like Ted Lasso.
Can we talk Ted Lasso really quick?
Yeah, we
for
can
a
talk
second?
Ted Lasso
I
really
also
quick.
have been watching Ted Lasso.
Non-spoilery.
Non-spoilery, but holy crap, the show gets better every season, and I have no idea how they're doing it.
Hold on.
Hold
Wait,
on.
Is Ted Lasso the soccer?
Yes.
Yes.
Does he coach the team that crashes in Yellow Jackets?
Crossovers.
Denny Rojas is in the wilderness. Yes.
Danny Rojas. I forgot about him.
How could you forget about Denny Rojas?
I haven't watched it since season 2.
Wait, are you just waiting so you can binge? The
Yeah,
season?
I've been
smart.
watching other stuff, and I like Ted Lasso a lot. I loved season 1 of Ted Lasso. It's one of my favorite seasons of TV ever. But season 2, I didn't like it as much.
That is bold.
It is. It's about divorce and dealing with divorce, and it came out right in the middle of my divorce. So I was like, this is perfect.
Okay.
This season is perfect TV, and it's upbeat, and it's happy, and it has a good message, and I just needed it right now. I'm better now.
Melanie Linsky, by the way.
Yeah,
was the
that's
name
her
of the
name,
actress
Melanie
we
Linsky.
forgot. And it's also Juliette Lewis, who I've seen a few other people say that they really like her stuff. She's in it as well.
Oh.
So there's a lot of good people
These
in this show.
people right here.
Check it out. Yellow Jackets. Check it out. Ted Lasso.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know.
Anything else you've been watching, Case?
Yeah, so Ted Lasso, and then we watched all of Daisy Jones and the Six. Have you guys heard about that or
Nope.
seen anything about it? Okay, Daisy Jones and the Six. It's based off a book of the same name. It's quite amazing, to be honest with you. It's a story about a 1970s rock and roll kind of supergroup that's put together. So Daisy Jones and the Six is the name of the band. And what's crazy is the actress who plays Daisy Jones is actually the granddaughter of Elvis, I believe. But then also the guy who is the lead vocalist in the other band in the Six, he's the guy from the Hunger Games who had the really cool spear and was really macho. Finnick, yes, that one. But yeah, no, Daisy Jones and the Six, amazing series that my wife and I watched, and I would recommend it to anyone who wants to watch it. It's very fun, enjoyable. It deals with a lot of hard issues as well, kind of like. But it deals with them in a more raw, rock and rolly way, and it's very interesting. And then also, we are prepping up to watch Tetris on Apple TV Plus.
I want to watch that.
I want to watch it so bad. Have you seen anything about it?
I've
or-
seen it. I'm just not into it. I don't know.
You didn't? What, you watched the movie, or you just saw
No,
the previews?
I just saw the trailers.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna-
I was gonna ask if you were like not into the movie because you're not into the game.
No, I like Tetris.
Okay.
I don't like Tetris.
It's the perfect video game.
Talk about
like,
trailers
literally
that
the
get me
perfect video
hyped. We got Oppenheimer and Barbie, bro.
Barbie looked
I'm
good.
gonna go do the double feature.
Come on,
July
Barbie, let's go
21st.
party.
That'd be the weirdest double feature.
I'm not kidding when I say
Yeah?
I'm probably gonna do it. I think
Really?
I might take that day off of work and do the double feature.
Dang.
Like go watch both of them back to
Wait,
back.
what are you gonna watch first? Are you gonna get sad? Watch
don't
the one
know.
about the bomb,
That's
or
the
you-
question.
And then the Barbie one to make you happy again, or vice versa?
Probably Oppenheimer first,
Yeah.
and then Barbie.
Well, I feel like
I feel like Barbie's gonna be so much from these trailers and what's coming out. I feel like it's gonna end up being like so much deeper. And Greta Gerwig's
Oh, yeah, it
directing
better
it. I'm so excited for it, honestly. Like 100. Like I had someone like message me because I posted something on like our story for the podcast, right? And then I shared it to ours with our pictures on the Barbie things, right? And I was like, oh, I'm so excited for this movie. And someone's like, oh, that's funny. I was like, no, I'm serious.
Legitimately
Like,
excited.
I am very excited for this movie. Like,
It looks entertaining.
don't come at me like that. And it's got everyone in it. Simu Liu,
Like Sarah.
Margot Robbie, Michael Cera as, and not even that. They go deep into like the lore behind like Barbie, right? So Michael Cera his character's name is Alan, and Alan was like released as, because always it's just like you have this Barbie, this Barbie, this Barbie, the Olympic Barbie, you know, whatever. You have
Olympic Barbie.
the Olympic swimming Barbie.
Yeah. We should ask my wife about that one.
That's a very
inside family thing.
sorry. Yeah, it's like sorry, funny. And then you have like the, and then you have the. There's one of them's got it.
No.
I don't know. I remember the red one's the swear one.
You
yellow
put me
one's the
you put
clap
me in
one.
front of the button, so
They're colorful.
Yeah.
So.
We had a fart one for a little while, but I don't know if it's still on there.
Oh, true. I think we just said it.
Josh, keep going. I'm sorry. Ooh.
Why do people listen to this?
I don't know. That's the thing, they don't.
But they just have all those things. And so Alan, because it was always like when they released new ones, it was just this version of Ken, this version of Barbie, right? So Alan was one that was released, and I could get this wrong, so sorry if I do. Alan was one that was released, and the character model was based off of one of like the main like CEOs or someone's like children or something like that. And it was like released to be like, oh, he's Ken's friend, like to be a friend of Ken, just to kind of be like, oh, like our son is like in these products or whatever, and just no one like really liked them. And so it's like this weird like little like side thing. And Michael Cera is that in this. And they also have another character, which I think her name is Midge. I don't remember. It was like a pregnant Barbie, which was also super like controversial, like when they released it. But they have all this like backstory and like lore, like of things that happen with actual Barbie thrown into the movie.
I'm in.
It's
Pregnant
crazy.
Barbie.
It's gonna be.
Backstory on Pregnant Barbie.
I'm super excited. So excited.
Beautiful. Love it. Michael, what have you been watching lately?
Wrestling.
So much wrestling.
Yeah. I also went and saw Scream 6.
You didn't like it.
No, I didn't, which is a bummer because I love the Scream series, like incredibly love it. But I think I'm the only person that didn't like it. I had there's a lot of whole things, but yeah, it was, I don't know, Scream 6. And then
Wrestling. What'd you watch recently in wrestling?
It's not live, didn't you?
WrestleMania. Yeah, we
Wait.
went live. Also, WrestleMania was this weekend, so we watched that 2 days. It took like 3 weeks. It could have been last weekend, to be 100% honest. I'm way behind on everything. And then always AEW. Every week we stay current. It's new WCW, but
Very cool.
exponentially better. But
Nice.
Do you guys watch wrestling?
It flashes past my screen from time to time.
Not
you
very
guys,
much.
you need Sherpas. One day you need Sherpas in 3 weeks. Vince tried once, and he like notoriously came over for like
The worst
worst
one.
pay-per-view in years.
And I haven't been back.
Man, it's bad timing.
I always like kind of like some of the clips. So you think wrestling is fake, then look at this type thing. But like what I've learned about wrestling though is they go so deep into these characters, their backstories, like things like that. It's very fascinating. Rey Mysterio, we were talking about him briefly. I saw this clip on Instagram where like there was some sort of celebration or something of his career, and like his son got up and walked out.
Yeah,
type
Hall of
thing.
Fame.
Yeah.
He literally walked out. Yeah, because they have a feud right now because his son says that he was never there for him because he was always wrestling, and now his son wrestles, and it keeps going back into their lives. And
Because their whole family are famous wrestlers.
yeah,
right?
they are. And Dominic
Is
was
that-
even part of like a story way back in like the 2000s where they weren't sure if Rey Mysterio was his dad, and you can go back and watch that.
Is that real or part of the
Wrestling is real.
But
It's all
or part of the narrative?
well,
It is hard to tell what's
they're
real,
really
what's not.
father son, right?
Yes.
Rey
Yes.
Mysterio and Dominic.
I'm confused about the question.
Fair enough. But did you watch the movie we're gonna talk about tonight?
Yeah, John Wick 4.
Yeah.
I saw it.
In theater.
Yeah. In like a tired haze of bullets and tears. Yeah, I saw it. It was,
Yes!
Yeah.
I got to talk about Star Wars before we move on.
Andor.
I'm sorry. I know you're transitioning into John Wick, but
No,
today is Star Wars Celebration, day one of Star Wars Celebration. It goes on for 3 days. You guys haven't seen any of the new announcements that have come out?
I have the new movies and stuff.
I've been really busy today.
I want to know your take because I obviously my takes are not. I don't really have takes because I'm not.
Okay.
as much
I have
into it.
takes.
As the TikTok proclaimed pretentious Star Wars fan,
Yeah, pretentious man.
I am the one who has the authority here. TikTok told me I was a pretentious Star Wars fan. The season finale of Bad Batch was so good. So good. So check out Bad Batch if you guys are into Star Wars. They announced 3 new movies that are coming out. They dropped a trailer for The Acolyte. They dropped that one's online. And then they did 2 trailers for... The Acolyte, they showed it at the show, but they dropped a trailer for Ahsoka. That's what it was. And the Ahsoka trailer...
That's the animated one, right?
No, it's live action.
Oh, sorry.
With Rosario Dawson. And they're bringing back characters from Star Wars Rebels and from Clone Wars. It's essentially the next season of the animated series done in live action, and it looks so good, guys. It looks so good. At the event, they had an Andor Season 2 trailer.
Yes.
They had an Acolyte trailer, and they had the Goonies, Star Wars Goonies movie. I can't remember the name of it. It's escaping me right now.
Star Goonies.
But they pretty much, it's like Star Wars in the Goonies universe, and all of them sound like they're going to be fantastic. I'm really excited for Star Wars right now. It's kind of hit and miss when they come out, you know. My cousin famously says that Disney Plus is fantastic at making trailers, but the TV shows are 50-50, which I kind of agree with.
How did you feel about Obi-Wan?
Again, 50-50. There was there's really cool parts and really low parts for me.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I feel like they could have done better, but I enjoyed parts of it. I really enjoyed parts of it.
I really liked it, but I also was like, this could have been better, especially bringing back Ewan McGregor. Like, what have you guys done?
Yeah, exactly.
But we're not complaining. We're grateful for what we receive. We have our hands outstretched.
I just expect a lot out of Star Wars. I love it. So
Unless
I
you're
want the
pretentious
best.
like Vince.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just pretentious, and I love Star Wars. And if they're gonna make a Star Wars, then they need to put their full effort into it and not give me something subpar. That's kind of how I feel about it. When I love something, I just want it to be great, not just good. And so I have high expectations. If they don't reach that, then it's kind of a bummer. But I'm gonna consume all Star Wars because I love Star Wars.
That's why they keep making bad stuff.
Because I keep consuming.
Yeah. Well, here's a question though, Vince, really quickly.
Stop.
If you were to choose the next couple of Star Wars films, what would you like them to expound on?
Well, they just announced they're doing a Rey sequel. So there's going to be one coming up that happens 15 years after the last movie that came out.
Will Daisy Ridley still be?
Daisy Ridley coming back.
Yes.
And she's going to be establishing a new Jedi Order.
Cool.
And then they announced one in the time of the Old Republic. Or maybe before the Old Republic. I can't remember.
So like Knights of the Old Republic video game era stuff?
Yeah, but it might be before that one. I can't remember. And this is all just off the top of my
It's
head.
all good.
I was
It's all
kinda
good.
listening to it in the background. But one of them will be exploring the actual like foundation of the Jedi Order, like way, 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 way back in the day.
Very
I
old.
think even before the Old Republic. I'm pretty sure it takes place before that. And James Mangold is doing that, who did the Logan movie. And who did the new Indiana Jones. He's a great director. I think he's going to be fantastic at it. And then there's a third movie that I don't remember what it is. So I'm sorry. But lots of Star Wars going on. Mando Season 3 is still going on. It's meh. Bad Batch was incredible. Check out Bad Batch. And that's what I've been watching, and then Barry. The end.
Oh! Well then, guys, it's time to begin our descent or ascent into John Wick. Chapter 4, the final installment of the actual John Wick franchise. I understand it, right?
So,
The
Did you see it?
the franchise.
Well, the original, the OG4 with Keanu Reeves, John Wick, right?
there's actually talks about a John Wick 5. But who knows?
Should we say spoiler talk? What are we doing?
Yeah, let's get into
Okay,
spoilers.
yeah,
Or
Spoilers.
do you want to? Yeah, let's just go into this.
Do you want to do like a quick?
Yeah, go ahead. How did you like it without spoiling?
Without spoiling,
Wait, should we bring
If
back
you-
the whole summary in a tweet type thing really quick? As
we should. I don't know if I have one ready though. I guess this is my non-spoiler review of John Wick. Could be a summary in a tweet.
okay.
If you loved the first 3 John Wick movies, you'll love the 4th one. It's as simple as that. That's basically how it goes. Action, fighting, crazy killing, insane moments, things that just really shouldn't happen, but they do. No killing of dogs. In fact, the opposite. It's great.
Yeah.
The guy who tries... No, okay, just kidding. That's
Yeah,
spoiler.
that
We
goes
can't
into
talk about
spoiler
it.
territory. Really quickly, guns. guns,
And a
Keanu Reeves.
There you go. I was waiting for that.
They should put that on every one of his movies. Doesn't matter.
But like it's an amazing film. Like I just want to say really quickly before we go into spoiler territory, this film for me lived up to what I expected from what was supposedly the final chapter, or is supposedly the final chapter of the John Wick series. And I love that Keanu came back. I love that we still have Winston. I love that we still have kind of like a little bit more in depth into kind of their society, which was cool. However, I wish there was more. I wanted that movie to be another hour longer.
Dude, it was almost 3 hours already.
I don't care.
It
you
did
see that
blink
the-
by.
Did you see that the original
fast.
cut was like 4 hours long before they cut it all
Snyder
back?
cut me all day with that thing.
I will take one for our whole podcast team and go with Michael and watch the original cut. I'm dead serious. I didn't want it to end.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I loved it. Loved it. It was fantastic. Going back and forth on whether or not I like this one or 3 better, I still think I like 3 more. But
I feel the same though.
did I hurt you?
I was
I
like,
can't remember
what is
3.
that?
What?
At all?
Nothing. I got nothing. I walked into 4 and was like, what is going on?
Oh, that's okay. This is like, I feel like this is like the one franchise where it doesn't
I mean,
matter
it
if you
did
remember
everything. Like,
anything.
I knew that, like, everything got bigger every movie, like the world and things. So, like,
Yeah.
I wasn't totally missing out. All I remember is the German Shepherd and Halle Berry.
Yeah.
Not because I'm, like, creeping
you
on
not
Halle Berry, but,
remember-
like, I knew she was in it.
Do you not remember the killing the guy with the book?
No.
Or the knife fight in the museum where
big
they're throwing
basketball
knives back
player?
and forth?
I got nothing, man.
Or being
That's-
chased while he's on the horse with the motorcycles?
So
None of that?
now you're just blurring into wrestling at this
Yeah.
point.
This all happened in wrestling too?
Yes.
Get your tits.
Guess what else it happened in? Shrek.
Bringing that up, I got actually Shrek news too.
The Shrek-
Did you see that?
Sorry, I did.
I
yeah.
didn't want to bring it up, but since we're here,
Yes.
The possible Shrek 5 movie that all of like the original
Shrek
voice
5 and
cast is
John
super
Wick
excited.
5 on the same weekend.
Yes!
Double feature.
We
there's
always
Casey's dream come
we
true
always
right there.
have the Shrek conversation, and Casey always brings up Shrek, and we're always like rolling our eyes. Meanwhile, boy hasn't even seen Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Because Puss in
himself
Boots
a
is
fan.
not a Puss in Boots is a Puss in Boots film. Shrek is a Shrek film.
All right, we're moving on.
Is Shrek in Puss in Boots? The Last Wish?
Technically, yes. He doesn't say anything. You just see him perhaps there. Did you watch it?
Not yet.
Okay.
The Oscars came and went, so I never got around to it.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it for the next podcast. Deal.
All right. Sorry.
Done.
Anyways,
But no,
can't
it's
keep
not
doing
all
this.
in Shrek, and I apologize for derailing it. No, that's what's crazy is everything blurs together, and it could be $1 million movie. However, let's break into the spoiler grounds for this movie, and we hope that you enjoy our spoiler full review of John Wick Chapter 4.
You did it.
gotta drive out.
That
He
was
does.
perfect. Okay, let's go through this really quickly.
That was the end.
Spoilers.
But Michael,
He dies.
Michael, what was your favorite part about this movie? What did you like about it? Did you have anything you wish was more? You don't have to go too deep. Just kind of quick summary.
No, I loved again with the world building. Everything exponentially got bigger, and like you said, I wanted more. Like I want to go to like the Japanese Continental. I want to know more about that. I want that family. I want to, and like just the lore of like how they're fighting is completely different, unlike how John Wick would have been trained. And like then they end up in Germany, and that whole family. Like,
Oh my god.
I want, like.
The Ruski Roma.
Yeah, that was, and then like him being reintroduced to the family, and I want all of that.
See, I'm the opposite. I think that's fun filler, but I go in this specifically for the action sequences. Like that's fun to have a little bit of information between, just to like kind of make a story out of this. But the John Wick franchise is a showcase in what stuntmen can do to me, or for me, not to me. Whoa. Freudian slip?
Taken a left turn in this podcast. This bedroom is
It's the new
It's
room.
wild.
It's the new room.
Vince looking at himself in the mirror over there, getting a little too comfortable.
But for real,
Tell
though,
us more
man, like,
about what they can do to you. Vincent.
did you see what they were able to do in this movie?
Okay, so like that was what's amazing is this show is continuous. Like it's just stuntmen doing stuntmen stuff. As much stunt.
This is the perfect argument for a stuntman need an Oscar argument. Like, look at what this guy did. This Chad Stahelski has a background in stunt work, and he created an entire movie, an entire world around stunt work, and it's incredible and so much fun to watch. And it has some filler lore and stuff that's interesting, and like it's cool world building. And then you're back into the cool stunt work.
Okay, I have a question. Okay, if you, I don't know how you don't like wrestling. So that's not my question. I'm just now frustrated. If the lore wasn't there, would the action sequences be as important?
As impactful.
Like, is the lore so good that it falls into the background and works so well that it makes the action more important?
It gives a reason for the action for
Like
sure.
a MacGuffin.
Yeah. But like even you go back to John Wick 1 where the story is like so simple. It's just a guy whose dog got killed and he gets pissed. And I mean, I've simplified.
You're sounding like it was just a puppy.
No,
It was not just a puppy.
But what I'm saying is like
John Wick?
even when you simplify it to just that, as easy as just like it's an ex-hitman whose dog got killed and now he wants revenge. Let's go get revenge.
And
That's
his
all you
car
need.
got stolen.
And then the next one, it's like, let's expand a little bit and introduce more. And it's interesting stuff, but it is very much for me, just kind of like, it's important to make a movie, you know, but I'm going to the movie for the action sequences.
I
more
like
than the
both
lore
of
for
your
me.
guys' points, and I kind of like the balance. I think if I had to pick, I would kind of lean a little more towards Michael's side, where I like the lore and where it goes. But I feel like the reason why John Wick is so good is because it strikes a good balance between those two.
Yeah.
There is so much, and people go to see all of these crazy stunt works, all these stunt moves, these weird, crazy deaths that people can have that John Wick can inflict upon people and whatnot. But it is a really cool world, just seeing the Continental and how it exists worldwide and what happens in these ancient like rituals that they still honor and everything, right? Just things that sound absolutely crazy. And just, I don't know, like it's cool. And the characters are like, obviously the character of John Wick itself is iconic, but they introduce new characters each time that I also really tend to enjoy. Like the idea of, and I apologize that I forgot his character's name, but the blind guy who's the main
Caine.
Oh, right, duh.
Little on the nose.
Who's like, he's like not the main antagonist, because obviously Bill Skarsgård is the main antagonist of the movie, but he's like an antagonist to John Wick while they're also just buddies, you know, they go back away.
So cool. Sorry. I've talked a lot.
Well, I was just gonna say it's so cool how this universe operates. Though, is like they're buddies, but like here's a coin, do the work. That's what they do. They have contracts. They complete the tasks. They do the jobs because it's just so full of like blackmail. It's so full of like it's a movie filled with gray areas and action. Like that's really it. It's just it's fantastic, and like them being all friends actually kind of makes it more intriguing to me. And maybe we can put this into the wrestling perspective if you'd like, really quickly, because I know that there's like feuds within wrestlers, there's friendships and bonds within wrestling, right? But there's also just like this thing that like I'm gonna win the championship, and that's how this feels to me. Is like the Caine, right? His goal is to get free of his bond so he can spend time with his daughter. Like that's his goal. John Wick's is to get free of all this, to escape the world again, then eventually to help Winston get the Continental back in New York and like all this type of stuff. It has like this. It's like a web. If this was a web, like it would be great. Like that's what it is, and I love it. It's fun, and I feel like the lore and the action, they're on this beautiful balance, and they're just sitting here like they need each other, because what good is a gold coin if I don't understand the lore of why we use it? And there's still more I want to know about it, but I got a little bit more, and I like it. Also, the way that they choose their duel and stuff like that, amazing.
The honor between assassins is one of the cooler, more unique things I think the John Wick series has introduced. Like you said, all these guys are friends. They know each other. They kind of work together. But all of them are trying to win in a fair way, you know, and they all understand that if you break the rules, there are consequences, right? That's one of the main themes of this movie is consequences. Like Keanu Reeves, it's like one of his only lines in the movie. Like, he hardly says anything except for like consequences. You know, even the post-credit scene hints towards Caine's consequences for Caine's actions, you know? I love this idea where he knows that there are consequences to his actions, but he just doesn't care. He's still that assassin at heart. They're not trying to make you like feel bad for John, or like for John to change his character and be like, oh, my buddy's Caine here, so I guess that I'm just going to let myself lose and die. He's like, no, I'm still John Wick. I'm still the Baba Yaga. I'm going to freaking destroy, and I'm going to get out of there no matter who gets in my way, because we all understand and live by this code. Last man standing wins. And I love that. I think it's so cool. And they have these awesome like back and forth. Like, question for you guys. Does Caine steal the show for you in this? Like, over John Wick himself? Because I keep going back and forth. I might like Caine more than I like John Wick. And that, I feel like I've got to wash my mouth out by saying that, because Keanu Reeves is like the best. And then Caine rolls around and I'm just like, this guy.
Well, I mean,
cool.
He's an incredible actor. And yeah, that was incredible. I would even go one up and say the best character in the entire movie was the daughter.
The daughter of Caine?
No, the daughter of the Continentals.
The Japanese Continental.
Yeah.
God, I have her in my notes.
Man,
I don't know the name.
Her name starts with an R. She is a Japanese pop star, and she did the main song for in English. She did the main star. She's like Renaissance woman. She's incredible. But the character, it was perfect. She was perfect. Like, I want that. I want the relationship between her and her father. Like, all of that was like the lore I was talking about. Like,
so something that could be kind of fun with this series, and like, I'm not being like, oh, they need to create like a TV series world, right? Like, I don't really know that we need that, but it'd be cool for them to make like maybe like one movie that's like 3 movies within it. So they're talking about maybe like an adjudicator, for instance, is going between the different continentals or something like that. Just reviewing people's performance type thing and looking at it, and like just kind of the stories behind it. So you have someone going to like Japan, right? You have someone going to Germany. You have someone going to London,
cool.
maybe.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of that build out of this world would be pretty neat for me.
I think I understand what you're saying now. And I think we're kind of mixing up like what we're talking about. For
Maybe.
me, the lore is like the assassins and the high table and all that kind of stuff. It's cool and interesting, not the character relationships. Like, the character relationships are definitely important to the franchise, because it makes you care about like John Wick winning or like you said, the daughter or whatever. That is important. But when I say lore, I mean more of just like how the assassinations work, how the Continental place work. It's all really cool and unique, but it's not as important to me as the fight scenes and the relationships between the people that kind of make those fight scenes.
Okay.
I feel more clarified now.
Okay, but also, not to like be a
No.
devil's advocate here, but that is almost like the opposite of what you just said before that.
Is
like,
it?
Yeah, in the
I
sense
just
of
contradicted myself.
well, in the like you were saying about the honor among thieves, like all of that is the lore that you think is just filler. Like, without that, I guess maybe not. Now that I'm saying it out loud, it's run through a different part of my brain. It is the relationships, because of like they didn't have the honor. But is that
Kind of built
steeped
into the lore.
Yeah, built in. It's written so well. It's hard to just dissect.
To separate them.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess the big thing for me is just like, I didn't feel like I needed to go back and revisit the first 3.
Okay.
Because that kind of like remembering what this guy does or who this guy does wasn't that important to me as I might be contradicting myself again. We'll just move on.
Well,
this movie's
really
good.
quickly, I want to talk about a couple of things here, and one of the things I want to talk about is the destruction of the Continental of New York really quickly, and kind of the repercussions of that. One, you know,
What a gorgeous shot from that window.
Oh gosh, so
Which one?
beautiful.
When they were looking out right before they destroyed the Continental New York, and they're just in that ginormous room, and it was at, I think, sunset. It's either sunrise or sunset. And it was just that ginormous glass window in that huge office that Bill Skarsgård is in, and it was just an absolutely gorgeous. They had so many amazing, like, gorgeous shots like that, like when they were in France in the end. Where
France.
was that it?
Yeah, the church.
Yeah, like
they
at
were
the
in France.
end. Yeah, and they're
Oh, the
looking out
church
over the
was beautiful.
sunrise and stuff like that. So many cool shots like that. Sorry, I didn't
So
mean to
many.
interrupt.
No, I just kind of wanted to really go into this destruction of the Continental and kind of where it kind of adds into something, into the fighting sequence and kind of the action of all this, where it brings in. However, I have to add one thing: we lose our concierge. And really
R.I.P.
quick shout out to the actual
Riddick,
the actual actor. What's his name again? Sorry,
Lance Riddick.
Lance
right?
Riddick. He passed away, but crazy that like the death in the movie, like I didn't realize that I was gonna be like so heartbroken by like a seemingly minor character. I was like, no, in that movie, I like felt that like frustration. I was like,
Because he was like, within all 4 movies, he was kindness. He was never trying to get somebody or hold somebody back or like try to hunt somebody down or get something for himself. It was all kindness. So that totally makes sense. Like when you see him go, it's like, oh, there it is. That's like the last bit of like what this franchise had as a softness.
yeah. And like his character too was the welcoming, was the kind of like that bridge between like Winston, who's just very direct and seemingly cold, right? Just very business, straightforward. Here's this guy who's also very business, but welcoming, takes care of the dog, like does a whole number of things, like checks on people. Like, even though that seems very minor, like, oh, that's the job of a concierge, it's just like, that was his role and I loved it. And I just wanted to call that out. But Ian McShane, he always is good with his character as Winston. And it was crazy to see how much he'd aged, though, since the last movie had been filmed. I don't know if you noticed that. He's looking like an old man now.
Wait, was 3 and 4, was COVID between the two?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think it got pushed back because of COVID too.
I think they've tried filming it during
there's
COVID.
a COVID too.
Don't,
no,
don't say that.
What do you mean? We're already on 19.
Can I see?
All right,
Can I
I'm
see 19 before I see the first 18? Or what's it yeah, no, he's great.
Winston's another example of a character that's one mind. You know, John Wick wants to survive, wants to get out. Winston, all about his Continental. Doesn't matter who he sacrifices.
My hotel.
I was wondering how him and John would like reconcile after what happened to the end in the end of the third one. But they just have an understanding, you know, like Winston's just like, yeah, I'll shoot you to keep my Continental, and John's like, yeah, I understand that you'll shoot me that if I get in the way, and they just get it.
Yeah, it wasn't out of character.
Not
for
at all.
them, yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing with John Wick, and this might give me like a lot of hate. I love the John Wick series because it's one that you go to just sit back, relax, and you enjoy the action sequence. The lore is cool, but it's not too in depth. Kind of like Michael mentioned, you go and you don't really need, or I think it was maybe Vince who mentioned, you don't really need to revisit the other ones. You can kind of just like, I think I watched like a 5-minute video that just recapped all of them. And you like remember what you need to remember to like watch the fourth one. But that's the other thing is we're here. I'm like a week and a half or so removed from watching this movie, and I'm remembering stuff the more we talk about it. But there's also a lot that I don't remember. And so John Wick is a very good like franchise. It's an excellent franchise to go and watch the action and enjoy it. And that's it.
Exactly. See, that's what I'm saying.
And here's the thing, and I like that. Okay, Michael's.
Okay, I got some takes.
Michael's
here.
gonna
you go,
take
Josh. You keep going.
Michael's gonna take it on me, and I appreciate that, and I understand John Wick for what it is, and I enjoy it. And I think I gave it like 3.5 stars because I still enjoyed the movie, but I'm sitting here afterwards, and I have a few things that I want to talk about that I really liked, that the movie did really well, action wise, camera wise, things like that. But beyond that, there's just like nothing else for me that I really feel like takes this movie to a better place. And I don't think this movie is trying to do that, which is fine. Like I said, it's good. But that's why I'm just like, this movie is good. I'll even say great. Okay, this movie's great.
What did you rate this on Letterboxd?
3.5 stars.
Okay.
I'm ready.
So that is 100% valid. No, it's valid. Josh is right. But I took it on a way deeper level in the sense of what Casey was talking about, where he kind of wishes that there's the show, that the people are moving around. So I think John Wick does its best work by not showing you anything. Like, I think, and this is the way I like was picturing it in a duality in my head. it feels like I'm, especially with this fourth one where they're introducing all of his old friends, and there's like, oh, you guys have done, like there was a life before this that we'll never know. And it felt like I had thought something in my head about like when my son hears stories about me, like he'll never know my life, but it'll be like watching this movie, or like for me, it was like watching it was like I get to watch my dad's, like I'll never know him 100%, just like the audience will never know what happened with John Wick and his friends. And that is the intriguing part and makes us keep coming back, because all of the, so like.
You're talking about one of my favorite movies right now that I just watched called After Sun. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Well, that's
just like
what
the way
I
you
picked
describe
up.
it is how I talk about After Sun. These guys know. So sorry.
Okay. No,
just
I
like
just totally
the
missed
exact
that.
words you said, I was like, whoa, what the?
Cool.
That's crazy.
I'll have
Anyway,
to
sorry.
absolutely watch
My
it.
bad.
But that's where I was like resonating, like, oh, like I want to know more about my dad, but I'll never know. But I'm going to keep coming to these movies because maybe I'll get a little bit more. Maybe I'll get a little bit more.
Well, and here's the thing. I feel like by saying that, people will come back with like, well, what do you want? Do you want them to just go deeper into character development and stuff? And it's like, that's not what I want. That's just the thing is, this movie is made perfectly for what it's supposed to be, right? The perfect action movie, the perfect action sequence, the incredible stunt work, incredible camera work, all of these things. And just because I rate it, 3.5 stars, and I say, oh, it's because I feel like it's a really good action movie, but it doesn't go beyond that. That's not saying that I feel like if it went beyond that, it would be 5 stars, because you have way too many action movies these days that try to do that, right? Have an incredible action movie, but try to go way too insane with like character development when that's not what people are there for action movie wise. So as far as like I think the rating of 3.5 stars is less so because I thought the movie it's not because I thought the movie wasn't good. 3.5 stars is what I give a movie that is good, that I really like, but I'm like, oh, there's nothing that was like really, really like next level about it for me. And so this one is more just like I give it that because I think it's really, really good and it's an action movie, but I'm just like, I'm not action movied out. I went and saw this and I enjoyed it, but it's just like action movies aren't always the movies that I spring for these days. So it has sort of like a personal bias to my rating for it. And so it's like, as an action movie, it does its job spectacularly. Am I really action movie oriented?
See, I give them higher rating. I think I gave it a 4. I think
You did.
yeah. Okay. But that's because I feel, and I could even see myself. I mean, I mostly rate because of how I feel when I leave it and whether or not I want to rewatch it again. So this one is just like, yeah, there's not those character development parts or kind of stuff, like those character studies that you really want from it, but that's not what I want from a John Wick movie. So I'm rating it compared to other action movies and how much fun I have and how much they push the genre and because that's what pushes the John Wick movies, always push the genre. They're doing stuff that no other action movie has ever done. And so you, in my opinion, have to get it a high rating just because of the sheer accomplishment of what they're doing, specifically in these choreographed scenes. There's stuff they did in this movie, one scene in particular that I'd really love to talk about, where I mean, it's 3/4 of the way through the movie, and I thought I'd seen everything at this point. I've seen 3 John Wick movies, 3.5, 3 3/4 here, and it gets to this spot, and it starts to... It's the over the head shot.
Yes.
It's the dragon's breath
All right.
over the head shot.
Let's do it.
I
was
seriously was like, okay, I've seen it all, and we still have an hour here. How are they going to impress me? That scene started, and my mouth dropped. Like, I watched the majority of that scene, like literally like this.
Because they do it mostly as a one shot as well, right? With the over the head, and you mentioned the dragon's breath rounds in the shotguns, which makes it that much more impactful because it's a visual represent. You can actually see the bullets from the gun and everything like that. So that overhead shot just makes it so much better.
It's so cool.
Yeah, and now that we're talking about it, I think that was like the furthest shot in all of the 3 movies, or all of the 4 movies. You know how like they're so close and you can see the reloading and like the moving and the knife and the pencils and this one, it was like finally far away. And how Josh said, like, it's a visual representation because you can't be so close, and they pulled it off incredibly like old school Grand Theft Auto or like
it's like straight up
Hotline
a video
Miami.
game.
Yeah, it was a video game.
I would agree. That's what it felt like to me. I was like, oh man, this makes it reminds me of like Halo. Like when you're just kind of farther back from the character and you do that kind of stuff.
Like the Halo Wars or whatever it
Yeah,
was,
like
the
you're
kind of StarCraft style.
kind of up and above. Well, yeah, and it's just really cool when you're up there watching, and like the way that they, like, I love the mystery character, that guy with his dog, like the
Mr.
whole
Nobody.
Yeah, Mr. Nobody, like the
That's
whole
cool.
time. But like this scene in particular, I just loved how he kind of like was there doing things, going through, and kind of just in the background though, like doing stuff. But you showed him enough that you're like, you see how he's built his thing. And just the way that, they shoot so well in this film. Like, I would love to just have the director, sorry, I forget his name. He just listen to him talk about them setting up a scene. You know, like the Vandy Fair setting up a scene thing that they do. I want him to do this scene.
Oh, me too. I would love that. Cause literally, like you said, it looks like a video game. You could do that digitally and probably trick everybody, you know? But they practically did this. Like, not only did they perfectly, like you said, it's a wonder. So not only did they perfectly choreograph this entire shootout, but they all, like, they did it without stopping. Like, I just, wrapping my mind around that, how perfectly you have to plan that out to get that is just, it's mind-boggling to me. Like, I can't believe that they pulled that off so smoothly. And it even cuts back into, from that, like, upper third-party view, back down into the actual
Like
rooms.
first person.
So they're
right? Like,
shooting
in
the
there.
room not only from above, but they're also doing takes in the room, in the set that they actually built, and then perfectly editing it together to make this just incredible fight sequence that I just give them an action Oscar. I don't know if that's a thing, but give them a dang action Oscar.
Well, and like the cinematography part of this is what's crazy when we're talking about whether it's like input, editing, post, or whatever. However, they did this to where I did not see any equipment, anything, like any evidence of it. These guys have like taken the time and tinkered. And I think that's what's beautiful about it. They knew what they were doing. They've tinkered with it. And they've made it so it's like for me, it reminded me of the Red Circle film, the Red Circle scene from the first episode when he's chasing.
Remind me that.
It's the one where they're in like the spa and the bad guy's been down the shower and John goes in there and then they.
That's a cool sequence.
But like what's crazy is this scene had that feeling, same as though the club scene in Germany though, that different club scene where they're like do like
in this
going.
in this one.
Yeah, in this
The
in number
waterfall
4
scene.
with the big German dude who
Yeah.
just like that is amazing. Like how like. Have you seen like the behind the scenes photos of this like set? So the guy who plays him is like so fit.
Yeah.
He is just like, whew, fit. But he like makes the suit like it's impressive. It kind of reminded me of like old Street Fighter type stuff, like where it's like, Chah!
It's like an E-Honda going on.
It was amazing.
Dude, so Germany though is wild. That whole thing, like nobody cared in that club for way too long. That's like
until the
for
end.
way too long. That like I was like, man, these people know how to party. Like they're
Well, those
like
people are on something.
Yeah, it's
Wild.
like 10 bodies and then I'm out of here because this club is on fire.
So you know the guy who's like, I am Klaus. You know that guy.
Yeah.
So that guy's actually one of the biggest club promoters in all of Germany. So
Was that his club? Was that a real club?
Yeah, it was a real club, I believe, in Germany. But like straight up, like that guy was in the movie because they needed a favor from him, essentially, if I understand right. I could be wrong, but like I read some stuff about it where I was like kind of like in collaboration with like something that they shot. He was there. Cool. But that guy is like, that's legit him. That's not costume. That's not makeup. That is that guy for real.
Oh.
The guy is a freaking Klaus. Go Klaus. I am Klaus.
That's one thing I need to know that they haven't explored with the lore yet, though, is do normal people exist in this movie, and do the normal people like just know who these assassins are, and when these big shootouts take place they're just like, oh, it's the assassins doing their thing again, you know? Because people don't really seem bothered that there's always people dying in these streets.
That Red Circle scene, like everybody started running immediately, and then this one it was different. So I don't know.
So
it's just weird to. I
do you
don't know
remember?
about
So
this
in like the
thing.
first or the second one where they're like trying to show you like the real impact that the table has or whatever on the world, and so he's talking to him in that park and he says everyone stop and like look at him in the park.
Seems like everybody's an assassin.
Exactly. So it's just like, whoa, crazy. So for us it's crazy because it's like there's this secret world we don't know about, but in this world it's like everyone knows about the table. They just run things. And so it's like funny because it's like there's both sides of it. You think that everyone knows, you think that no one knows, but also at the same time yeah, this club scene is just wild. That like this dude literally, you know, he shoots someone and you know someone just had the bullet like graze their arm and they're just like,
Dude, I was digging the music when we were in there. I was just jamming, Josh. I don't know if you
Oh,
saw
it's
a couple
fun.
times. I was do. But like, what's also super interesting and crazy is like when you look at like whether this is an alternate world than ours or something like that, right? Is how this kind of works. Like the table is more present or whatever. It's just kind of fascinating to see that like it's a part of society. But if you go back to the first movie, there's like people who receive a coin to come in and like clean up as if nothing happened. And so like how much of that happens? Like, do we like, sure, there are underground societies here that we don't see and do what's going on.
Even the cop in the first movie knew what John Wick did for a living.
Hey, John, you working
And
again?
why are there never cops showing up to these shootouts? Like,
dude,
what is
they literally run through all of Paris, right? Is it Paris? I feel so bad.
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Because they did the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah, so they go through all of Paris, right? They go literally to the most famous spots in Paris, right? To do this because they go to
Arc de
big
Triomphe.
restaurant- the Arc de Triomphe.
What a cool scene.
They go to the
You really put some spice on that word there.
Arc de Triomphe.
Oh man,
I don't even speak French.
this room again. This is here.
I was thinking some crazy things in here. They do that. The steps to the I've been to too many. I've listened to too many like Spanish churches. I want to say like the Sagrada Familia. Oh no, it's like Sacred Heart, but in French, the like Sacre Bleu or something like that. Yeah. But the stairs to the church and then the church itself, they hit all the landmarks, right? So not only are there like normally, I'm sure, security at these like landmarks, but yeah, they do all of these fight scenes.
They know that the
literally
table
kill.
supersedes the security there.
And to be honest, they probably just
No, please,
they
that's what I'm
probably just watched Man of Steel's Backlash and was like, look, we don't need to worry about
Just-
other people. Let's
It's
just
John Wick's just doing
yeah, it's just they're in the world. Don't even worry about random people because as soon as there's a random person that dies, the internet is going to destroy it.
And you know
Well, and
what?
I love
I'm
how,
fine
like-
with it. I'm fine that they don't explore it. It's just like one of those things where I'm just like, that's weird. I don't care. Kill more people, please.
I don't know.
Same.
So, well, yeah, because they're like the dog will like jump off, or the guy throws the dog against the one car, and the car's like, oh my gosh. Anyway,
That's
right.
Yeah, it's that same logic
You got to
as
keep
like
the action going. The car's got to keep moving through the roundabout, or
it's
it
like-
wouldn't be exciting.
It's like everyone else are NPCs. Like they just have
yeah,
like,
exactly.
You're playing the game.
But like,
So, yeah, it's not
what,
really big deal.
what a fascinating thing though. Like I actually wanted to comment on like that big circular roundabout at the Arc de Triomphe. It's just so fascinating, like what the heck that was going and how it worked. And it was like, that's a lot of fun. Like that's what this movie felt like. And I think like I felt like this movie was effortless fun until we got to the staircase. The staircase was the only scene that I was like, this is too long.
Oh, really? I thought it was fun. Because
It was fun. It was a bit much.
Well, they referenced how many there were, so you had to see the fact that there were that many stairs.
I had to see it, and then he got thrown back down. And I think I felt the same, but
you
I could also
said something
see.
at that moment. You're like, again or something. Like, are you serious?
It wasn't like it was bad. I was just like, I think in the theater it was more just like, oh my gosh, like it's crazy.
did you guys
gotta
have
go
the
up this
same
again.
reaction in your showing as in mine? Because we saw opening night, IMAX screen, all the hardcore John Wick fans there. And every time he fell backwards, everybody in the theater, everyone was
Definitely.
just into it. Just
We
like,
saw
oh
this-
no. And he just kept rolling, like, oh no. Keeps rolling, oh
'Cause
no.
he did.
It
He
just
just
made it
kept
so
And I
fun.
think
going.
that's why it was so long. They did it for the fans, like
Yeah.
fan service, because it's like, okay, it's gonna stop. It's not gonna stop.
Oh, he's
Oh,
going.
it's gonna stop. Oh, it's not gonna
Oh, he's
stop.
all the way to the bottom again. Ah.
That felt like the moment when you're playing pinball when you're like tapping the ball with the bottom paddles and it's like and the ball falls and it just goes. But like what I liked about it, the final fall when he gets all the way back to the bottom and Caine was just there and he's like, "Let's go, John." And
a
that
cool
was
team up.
really cool. I loved that team up. Also, Caine's fighting style, like we go from like the Continental in Japan, like the way we just learned about him sipping noodles in the backdrop for a bit.
Using the like
Doorbell.
sensor doorbells.
That was so
Yeah,
cool.
using his sense, like sound, as a weapon.
Yeah. So
Sorry,
good.
I
No,
interrupted you.
No,
Sorry.
I was like getting into this more, but what I'm meaning is just like, wow, like when you're talking earlier about like him kind of stealing the show, I was like, actually, yes, I feel like he stole the show for me. I also really like the manager of the Japan Continental.
I had his name too.
And that,
This
like,
guy's a legend.
He's
man.
he's also in Bullet Train as like this famous shogun, essentially, like just owning the crime world there. And that guy is such a good actor. He's in so many movies. I'd like feel bad being like, I think he's just like in every movie that has a Japanese reference, but I'm pretty sure like any movie
Think
with a Japanese.
Hiroyuki Sanada.
Yeah,
Is that
yes.
Shimazaki?
Yeah, that guy is in.
What was the
so
last
much.
movie he was in? Because he was supposed to be in John Wick 3. But there was something else he got cast in. Oh, it was Avengers. It was Avengers.
Yeah, he's
That's
in
what it was.
Endgame.
He's the guy who fights Hawkeye during the blip.
Oh,
that's
when he
sweet.
was
Yes.
Ronin or
Yeah. He's the mob boss that fights in
Oh,
the.
you're
that's
right.
cool.
This guy's just awesome.
He's
I would
very
love
cool.
to see him in more stuff. I should
Looks
check
like he was
out
in
his
Bullet
filmography.
Train.
Yeah, he's actually in a lot of things. Like he was in a bunch, I believe, in like the mid 2000s a lot too. And if I'm gonna butcher this, and someone's gonna be like, "Oh, you're just stereotyping him because he's a Japanese person," but I'm pretty sure he's also a lead in like The Last Samurai. He's like has a big part in that. But then there's also another Keanu Reeves movie called 47 Ronin, and he's also in that as well. So. He's just big to me, and Josh is looking this stuff up
I
right
want
now.
him
yeah,
in,
you're right.
I want him in a Star Wars real bad, just because my mind's in the Star Wars universe. I would love to see like a Japanese Shogun Jedi.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool. Yeah, The Last Samurai. He's in 47 Ronin. In
Yeah,
The
and-
Ring 2.
and then-
In Japanese. Wolverine. He's in that.
Wait, he's in the ring too.
It's the Japanese version,
sorry.
so it might not be ours.
Well, there's so much cool stuff, and not to mention just the Japanese Continental, right? That place, and my favorite, not of the whole movie, but just like I loved the fighting that went on in that room where they had all the cases of stuff.
Oh,
right?
the
Oh,
glass.
the museum
where
thing?
Caine and
Yeah.
Is that
John
the
Wick
nunchuck scene?
first.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
the nunchucks, and because it gets really real with, because you know a lot of these movies, and they John Wick does a lot better than a lot of action movies with being a little bit more realistic with bullets and mag sizes and stuff like that, right? And this scene does a really good job where like he runs out of stuff in one gun, and so he takes out one guy and he's like, all right, I'll take yours, and then he uses the clip and he's like, I didn't take the clips from the guy, so I don't have anything else. He has to keep switching. Eventually goes to the nunchucks. Caine and John eventually start fighting, even though they're like, oh hey, like what's up, guy? Like, oh yeah, sorry, I've been sent to kill you. He's like, oh yeah, no big deal. It's cool. So,
I understand. Like
Such a
that.
cool
That was what was funny is like that whole world, because they all are so connected. Like they've all done jobs together. They've all fulfilled contracts, I assume, together and whatnot. And so, so cool. And also, there's a scene in this, and I'm jumping around a little bit, but the part where at the first where he's on the horse, like going through the desert chasing those dudes, that was cool. And then he just shoots the head of the table type thing. He's like, well, and it's like doesn't matter. Like
The
someone else will
elder.
rise. Yeah, the
I
elder.
thought that was the very, and like I said before, I don't remember 3, but I thought that was like a recap of like the very last scene of 3. Was it?
No,
No.
this is a new elder. I don't remember.
It's
I remember he's mentioned like the last guy died and then I took his place. You can't stop us. You can't defeat the table because someone will just move in
Oh,
and
yeah,
replace them.
okay.
It's
'Cause
kind
he
of
cut
his
it-
whole thing.
Also, excuse me. Oof. Also, the consistency with him missing his ring finger, though, in this was
I
actually
completely forgot about that.
it's so impressive because he never had his finger back. They kept it like
Oh my gosh.
because he cut it off in the
yeah.
third movie.
Yep.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, but it was
my
always
gosh.
gone the whole time.
That's wild.
That spot where they shot that scene in the desert was the same spot that they shot Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
fun facts for you.
Yeah, that's
They,
cool.
that they actually traveled to these locations is so just a breath of fresh air after Ant-Man and some of these other movies.
Oh yeah.
these COVID movies that you're just like are on green screens. It's awesome to
Just,
see
yeah.
like locations.
I
on
just
location.
love that though, that they went to so many different places. That's what's exciting. I feel like as like a movie goer, like do you guys remember like watching like The Mummy and like shows like that took you somewhere, like Indiana Jones? You're like in Peru for part of it, then you're flying across the world to Egypt, and you're doing all these things. Like that makes a movie exciting, and that's why like we enjoy the theater, for instance, and why you enjoy like watching a movie at home is because it's not just like, oh wow, this is like really cool that they're shooting people, which is amazing, but you're like traveling somewhere. You're a part of a journey with them, and you're like just going off in like such a healthy way, I feel. And so that's what I love about this was it felt like a quest. It felt like a journey. It felt like he was finding something along the way, which was the goal, was to find a way out, right? but it was like I felt like I was moving with him. So I agree with you, Vince. Like this movie where they went to places, I would take that every day over green screen film.
Yeah, 100%. At this point now, you know what? I was kind of half and half about not how much I love the movie, but like you said, Josh, like now that we're talking about it in detail, there's so much I like about this movie. And where you were saying like he's just looking for a way out, like, and this might like be rushing towards the end of a conversation we're having here, but I think collectively now that we have seen all four as like one piece, it feels like a grief story. It doesn't feel like a revenge story. It feels like that was it, and he didn't want to live anymore. And that's the way he had to grieve his wife, and the last love that she gave him was dead, and he knew he couldn't do anything else but like grieve it. And the way he grieved it was to take out everything that hurt him and took away from like himself.
Yeah, they kind of even say that in this one too. Like you're this is you. Like you can't exist without this world. Like what do you expect what do you expect if you actually get out? What do you expect your life to be? Yeah, it really is. I don't think he's really thought past that either. He's just stuck in his grief.
Exactly. So like, yeah, by seeing the end of the movie, seeing the end of the four, you could go back and rewatch and know he never wanted to live.
Well, the end game was never really like set aside to be alive, right? And that's what's so fascinating about you bringing the Marquis, right? And his goal is to take out John Wick, and that's the whole entire thing, right? It's like he wants to take out John Wick because it's personal. He's affected the table, and he wants to make a name for himself. And what makes I think the ending of this film, where we see them have kind of the showdown, the duel at the top of the stairs, and John take a bullet, but then shoot the Marquis. You fool, he didn't shoot her or whatever he says, right? And it's kind of like, oh, man, he hadn't shown all his cards on the table. And that was exciting.
That's like the one time that John Wick, too, just didn't do what was needed and kill Caine. Like, he actually tweaked his methods to save Caine's life and still get out.
And he gave Caine what he couldn't have.
Yeah.
Like he got everything, and he gave one of his oldest friends like the life he couldn't have.
So, is John Wick dead?
I hope so.
What do you mean? Yes.
No.
Is he dead?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. No.
He's going to be in the spin-off movie that comes out next year, but the events are from before. I think they're from between 2 and 3, I think.
The Ballerina
with
Ana de Armas.
Ana de
so
Armas.
Excited.
So hold on, Josh. Why do you think that he is dead, like fully dead? Why do you think this is the end of the John Wick story?
Because I feel like, I think honestly more so less what the story actually provided and more stuff I read online afterwards. Just him being, he's like said that he's like moving forward with some of the projects. Like he said, he is in Ballerina that's next year, this kind of spin-off and stuff like that's going on. But from what I read online, he was like, oh yeah, just like a good like fulfillment of the character and what was going on and what happened, right? And so I don't know, it just kind of seemed like a good like kind of final spot, and I was confused when I watched it because I didn't know that was a possibility or something they might have even been working towards with this movie. But it seemed really good, like you guys said. Like what he did is he got what he came there for, to kill the Marquis or whatever, and give one of his lifelong friends, Caine, like the life that he couldn't have. He did all that, he died, and he kind of completed his cycle of grief like we talked about, just being able to do what he needed and then be able to rest. Because he didn't have what he needed or what he wanted to come home to. He didn't want to live in this world, right? And so he did what he needed to do to be able to take it out on it. And then what? Is he coming back to what?
An empty house.
Yeah, what's the point? Like if he isn't dead, like it
just gets so...
I mean, if they fall into that same thing again and again where they just keep making sequels on characters you love, and it
devalues almost.
It does. It truly does.
Well, so here's why I was arguing with you about no, because I actually do think this is the end of this book, because it's the final chapter is what I understand, right? And so if they do another John Wick movie, and I'm not trying to be like specifically with him as the lead, it kind of cheapens the experience of like this book, right? Like what's kind of interesting is we've all seen this movie where it's like weirdly good. It's like perfect as it is, and yet they build a sequel, and you're like, why? And so that's kind of how I'm feeling about it now that we have the 4 movies. Why? I would love to go into a Mr. Nobody type movie or something like that, talking about his backstory, because that would be fascinating. I would love to go into, like I said, I would love to learn more about the High Table and maybe the different Continentals and how they operate and kind of like the secrecy between them and stuff like that. But I feel like as far as John Wick, the character goes, I hope he's really in the ground. And like that makes me feel really bad for saying it like that, but I'm good. Like my needs have been fulfilled.
The universe can continue to exist. You can continue to get that same stunt work and action that we're wanting to do. And obviously, it's like you love seeing Keanu Reeves do that, especially since he does so many of his own stunts and everything throughout the movie. Like what he can do, he'll do. And like they say he did like 90% of his own stunts or something like that. Something crazy. Like incredible, especially because he's a main character. And so he's involved in so many of the stunts anyway. So they just had him do so much. You'll still be able to see the stunt work. The world itself and the lore can still expand. There are other characters that we care about and that we like, right? That have been introduced over the years. Ana de Armas's character. We have we have Caine's character, which I don't remember the post-credit scene. Did he die or
No, it cuts to black.
Yeah.
Cuts to black.
She sees him in the crowd.
Right, and she's
busts out a
coming
knife.
for him.
Cuts black.
Yeah, exactly. So you have all these other characters which can lead the universe forward while letting the John Wick character arc and story complete.
I'm right there
it's
with
good.
you. I'm right there with you. The interesting thing will be to see if the franchise will survive post Keanu Reeves if he doesn't come back, and what will Keanu Reeves do after this? Maybe he is John Wick in real life and needs this in his life. I don't know. He's like almost 60, right? I bet he could use a break after all the effort that movie took out of him. But I'm right there with you guys. I kind of hope that this is the end of it with John Wick, and I'm looking forward to exploring those other avenues. Ana de Armas stole the show in that last James Bond movie. She was the best part, her action sequence.
That one scene.
But I want John Wick to mean something. I don't want this franchise to be cheapened and just become another action franchise with random people. It doesn't really matter. I feel like the passion between Chad Stahelski, the director, and Keanu Reeves is what drives the movie. So whoever replaces Keanu Reeves, if he doesn't come back for another one, if he really is dead, and whoever replaces them has to put the same amount of effort that Keanu Reeves put into this. So far, all the side characters, Halle Berry, everyone that they brought in has put in the effort. I just don't know who can hold the candle,
Take the lead.
take the mantle like Keanu Reeves did. That's
Mr.
what worries me the
Nobody,
most.
do you think that character is well developed enough that guy could
I
take
think
it?
I don't know who he is, but I think he's interesting. I think the character's interesting.
I think the character played Catwoman. Like he was Catwoman. Like he played both sides. I don't think you can push a character that is in so much of the gray. Like you can, but it's not action. I don't know. If he's just doing what he wants and whatever side, and there's just bouncing back and forth, I don't feel like that is a
So he's the NPC that goes with you on the quest and kind of does a few things here and there, but really isn't a main character.
yeah, he's just in it for himself. But there's not enough consistency for that character for me to like see a movie about him.
Fair enough.
I like the character, and I like that he was there enough, and it's sort of, even if he didn't, I don't even know if you'd say redeem, but once we got to the end, right, there were hundreds and hundreds of people who came and they tried to kill John Wick, and they knew where he was going to be at sunrise. But once sunrise hit, and he had killed like a ton of people, that there were still more people out there, but they all respected the table enough to not be there. And meanwhile, Mr. Nobody just walked up with his dog like he's a homeless guy, right? And he just sat on the bench, and they were just
Drank
like,
a
that's
beer.
cool. Exactly. They just pulled out the beer, and they're just like, yeah, you've earned it. Like, you can be here. Like, that's cool. But I agree. Like, who knows? Maybe if they made it, they could possibly push it forward and they could go with something like that. But I think I kind of agree with Michael, where that's just like a really tough thing to go forward with, because you can enjoy the character and you can see where he was after John for the right price and stuff like that. And then when he saw, oh my goodness, you like don't get me wrong, I love the dogs and I love that they didn't kill the dogs, right? When you saw the one guy was going to kill the dog and Keanu or John Wick saved the dog, and he was like, "Oh man, I'm not gonna kill you anymore. I'm not gonna get my money because you saved my dog." It was like, okay, like, all right, I get it, but
Yeah, no, very much so, very much so. All right, guys, let's do kind of our final thoughts of the movie. Vince.
Best action franchise of all time?
Ooh.
I don't know if I can say that with full confidence, but
Collectively, because
Yeah,
a
like
franchise,
franchise
every single
together.
movie has to be good.
Well,
It's not
yeah.
like Terminator or anything.
yeah, like consistently, every one of these movies have been top tier action, and I can't think of any other franchise that has consistently been top tier action other than this one. So maybe that's how I feel. I guess I have to think about it a little bit more, but I'm right there. Like, John Wick means something.
John Wick is pushing action movies forward faster than Avatar is pushing CGI movies forward. It's doing what it needs to do. It steps it up each movie. It gives you new content. It does what it needs to do, but it doesn't take 10 years in between movies.
The best storytelling in the John Wick series is the stuff they don't tell you, which I think is the best storytelling just in general. Like, when you really think about it, like the things that let you fill the gaps and the things that you want, the way that they keep you wanting more is what makes it special for me.
I like that.
I like that a lot. And I feel like I loved this movie. I wish it was 4.5 hours long.
Maybe they'll do a director's cut.
Oh, I will buy it. I will buy it first day it comes out, and I will invite anyone to come over.
Double
and watch it.
VHS. Just right next to Titanic.
Put it right there on the. Oh, hey there, buddy.
Before you guys end it,
Yeah.
what would you put on your tombstone?
I mean, it's a good
The
question,
dog father.
Oh my gosh, you were the best.
But I have an actual son too, so father and dog father. I don't know. The dog hyphen father. I don't know.
I love it. Yeah.
Caffeine should taste like candy.
I don't know.
Oh man, that's deep.
I don't know.
Oh man, I'd probably just do like some, like not even just like a quote, because I know it's supposed to be like about you or something like that, but it would be like something I would want people to like know or remember. And so it would just be like, learn to love the people, or like learn to love people by getting to know them, or like something like that. I don't know.
Right on.
Like
I
something
like
What
that.
about you, Michael?
Yeah, nothing to just father. That's kind of my life at this point.
The
It's like,
greatest mustache of all time.
oh my gosh, you guys should have seen it a week ago.
It's going.
Someone took liberties with it, and that's totally fine because it looks great. But man, it was it was wild. It was wild.
To use the young kid slang, it was bussin'.
That's a thing now?
You haven't heard?
Bussin', Vince. It
See,
was
we're trying to
bussin'.
connect to the young audience.
We're trying to connect to you
I can't
kids on
keep up.
TikTok. I'm 32 years old, and I never learned to read.
That's Vine.
I'm pretty sure I just learned, what does he say?
Vine is too
That
old.
new girl quote. I don't think, I'm not fully convinced I know how to read. I think I just memorized a lot of words.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Yes. Nick.
There's no more room in there, too. It's just old movie quotes and words I have to remember.
Literally. Well, guys, thank you so much for jumping on and podcasting with us today. Michael, thank you for coming back.
Thank you for inviting me,
We
guys.
have
This is a
missed
blast.
your soul.
I'll see you guys in 2 more years when another terrible Terminator movie comes out and I have to yell at Vince for it.
I haven't watched that one since our old arguments. It's tainted now. I know I was wrong.
Speaking
I was
of
wrong.
the mirror.
Oh no, that is it. Hit the cut button. Good job.
And thank you so much for tuning into the Pause Where I Play podcast. We'll catch you next time.